Good afternoon, and what is up, Razorback Nation? We are here live from Arlington as we are going to be at the game this afternoon. But we all traveled down. As you can see, the crew is all here in person. And we are brought to you by Razor Pigs. Looking good, never felt so fun. Razor Pigs is the Arkansas-born brand bringing some serious style to the golf course, tailgate, and everywhere in between. From high-quality polos to head-turning hats, they've got what you need to rep the natural state with pride. Found it right here at home and now run by a Razorback-loving family. Razor Pigs is where comfort meets cool, so go hog wild and shop Razor Pigs today at razorpigs.us. And our friends over at Scarlet Letter, Arkansas's very own handcrafted spiked seltzer. You can check them out today. If you are in Northwest Arkansas, check out the Cool Brewery Tap Room where you can get Scarlet Letter in all of its various flavors. And it is Friday afternoon, opening weekend of baseball season. As I say, we're in Arlington for opening weekend. How are we doing, guys?
Man, this is the best time of year. If you're not excited about this, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we've been waiting so long ever since that heartbreaking loss in the College World Series to just get back out there and play some baseball. And here we are, man, and we're here in person to see it. So can't get more excited than that.
Yeah, no, I'm doing pretty good also. Pretty excited for this. But, as also kind of ready for more basketball and see them with this resurgence, how they're playing right now. So, baseball starting, basketball rolling, great, just time right now. So,
yeah, with basketball doing so well, and we'll get to baseball. That's the big storyline this weekend is baseball season is here upon us. Arkansas opening this season in Arlington. As we mentioned, that's where we're at. But you look at basketball coming off 2 back-to-back big road wins, with LSU being the most recent one and then Mississippi State prior to that. And, both those games, as we know, were without Carter Knox and DJ Wagner. And this team has just seen what seems to be like a resurgence since that break after the Kentucky loss. But it seems like there's been a resurgence in just different type of energy with those two guys out and Billy inserted in the starting lineup. So, initial thoughts going forward, I mean, how do you, even when Carter Knox and DJ Wagner are back healthy, how do you make changes to this lineup with they've been playing so well coming out of the gate super hot and not falling behind, especially on the road as we've seen what they've done so far this season?
So, I think for me, I kind of covered it a little bit Sunday. Obviously, I don't think you bench Knox and Wagner when they're back. I think that you kind of reevaluate the roles and the minutes that they have. I think that at this point in the season, I think you keep Billy Richmond as a starter. I think you keep Wagner coming off the bench. I think you bring Wagner, Ewan, Knox, and Sealy off the bench even once they're back. I think Sealy has definitely earned a few minutes regardless. I think Billy needs to take over kind of the minutes Knox was getting. And I think that, Knox and Sealy kind of need to split those other minutes. So Knox will be more in a limited role when he's back. But I think that, if he can be consistent and prove that he's kind of back to how he was, how we know him to be able to play, then that's kind of another conversation you have and revisit. But, they're playing great right now. And Calipari's even said, with only 6 or 7 guys, they know that they can't be lazy. They know they can't make those stupid fouls. And so you almost wonder, is the team better off? I don't think so. I think that you still need that depth in case they are calling a tight game. You still need a breather for some of those guys. And so I think it's just kind of a reevaluation of the roles and minutes instead of kind of just, hey, cutting them out entirely.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of those things I think, like you said, you don't bench those guys, but especially a guy like Knox who's been in the starting lineup, even though he hasn't been giving you a ton of contributions. It's one of those things where you keep building the lineup and you have Knox earn his minutes back by coming out and showing that he can be the player that he is, what you saw last year going into March towards the end of the season where, he kind of really exploded. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what that dynamic is like, especially when those guys are back and ready to go. I mean, it should be any time now, as they talked about how they're not super serious injuries. And, it's not anything to be super concerned about going forward because we will need those guys once you hit March, depth, 5 or 6 guys like right now is fine for a couple games. But, you try to go through that down the stretch, guys are going to start to wear down like we saw a little bit of in Acuff in the Kentucky game, he kind of just seemed flat. His shots weren't falling like we normally saw them. So I think going forward, it's going to be interesting to see that dynamic, how Cal plays with this lineup, and especially the question mark for tomorrow after the last game is what is the Ewan's availability? As we know, he got the 4 stitches after getting hit in the head late in that game on Tuesday, and Cal said in his press conference he got 4 stitches, and we've got till Saturday to see where he's at, and so it's going to be, we're going to need him because he's been big for us. But what'll help is if we still get this continued play that we have from Pringle these past games, where he's really been a decent contributor in terms of boards and giving you a few points.
Yeah, and obviously we'll find that out tonight because the initial SEC injury report is due the evening before the game. So we'll kind of get more of an update on that, and with Knox and Wagner as well. But then the final one will come out 90 minutes before the game starts. So tonight's the first one, 9 minutes before the game starts tomorrow. So we're talking about 6 o'clock tomorrow night. It'll be when we kind of know for sure their availability. If I had to guess, I would say Ewan's going to be able to play, but probably limited minutes. Could be way wrong on that. I don't know. But, with Wagner and Knox, it's tough because, they want to get back out there. But also with what you got going right now, it's hard to justify rushing them back. So you almost want to wait till they're 100%. But then, hey, that's just more time for us to build. So it's kind of a conundrum there for him to deal with. But, I think we need the home crowd rocking tomorrow night. But it'll be a good game regardless. And definitely with Ewan's presence since conference play really started, definitely need him to help down low. So I think thankfully we have seen kind of a more consistent Pringle the last couple of games. That's helped. Makes me not as worried as if we were to lose Ewan for tomorrow night. But also Brazil's just been playing out of his mind last few games as well, which also helps. So I think if Ewan's out, we'll still be okay, but obviously want him back in there regardless.
Yeah, and that's going to be that's something we didn't even talk about, how Brazil is playing in these past couple games. He's come out refreshed as well, very similar to Acuff. I mean, going forward, Hobbs, what's your thoughts on, this team and how Cal might handle this lineup?
Yeah, I mean, I think Wagner and Knox, like Zane said, they're not going to just not play. I mean, they're going to be back in there. As far as minutes goes, I think Billy, like Zane said, he's got to be in the starting lineup. The way that he brings just that spark right off the bat, he's going to get 100% effort every time, and we need that to start games, especially on the road. But yeah, and then Sealy, man, he's got to play some too because we can't just play 8 guys and just everybody gets tired and stuff. Sealy needs that growth, and he's shown that he can play decent minutes. He's made a couple of freshman mistakes, but excuse me, that's probably because of the lack of time he's had on the floor. So, but yeah, I think it's just if Ewing's out, I don't have as much confidence as you guys do because I'm not going to put a lot of confidence in Pringle. I've just seen so much inconsistency on that part, but like Zane said, Brazil's playing out of his mind, so it may not hurt us if he's out because Brazil can step in and get 12 rebounds, 4 blocks. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, hopefully Ewing can play. I don't know. That stitches just happened a couple of days ago, so we'll see, man. Unfortunately, we'll have to be watching from afar, but hopefully we can pull it out tomorrow night.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing too is you keep getting Sealy this growth, but Brazil playing out of his mind. It's one thing that Cal said in the press conference after the game was that he had to take Brazil out of the game because he said if he had let him, he'd play all 40 minutes. He wants to be in the game. And if you look at the stats from the other night, Brazil played 37 minutes, gave you 14 points, 4 of 8 shooting, 1 of 4 from 3, 5 of 6 from the line, gives you 12 boards, so double for him, 1 assist, and 1 turnover. So, great margins, great stat line for Brazil. So he kind of did it all. I mean, very similar to against how he performed against Mississippi State. He's stuffing that stat sheet.
And not to mention, he also added 4 steals and 5 blocks. So, I mean, that's filling up the stat sheet defensively as well, just to an extent that, I mean, that's kind of wild numbers to put up. But kind of like we were saying, you do need to let guys rest because for the last 2 games, Malik, Acuff, and Brazil have not played less than 36 minutes. So they're going to wear down at some point if you don't give them a few more minutes rest. So that's another thing to kind of focus in on and take care of. But also with Pringle, he was 3 of 3.
Think about in the tournament. You're going to play SEC tournament. You're going to play back-to-back. March Madness, you play, and then next couple of days later, you're playing again. These guys can't just keep going all out. And you look at Brazil last game, that dude was huffing and puffing like he needs a break.
Yeah, no, for sure he was. But also, I will say, I think I disagree with you with Pringle. He's been 3 of 3 from the field last 2 games. So, I mean, he's been efficient. And granted, he's not putting up double-digit points, but last 2 games, he's 6 of 6 from the floor. And he's also getting some boards. I think he's at least stepped up a little bit. Maybe not quite to where we all thought preseason where he would be, but he has at least shown that he can at least contribute consistently last few games, I feel like. I just hope that we don't regress again like we have a few times this season.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing to look at. Like, both you guys, valid points from both sides of it. It's like, yeah, to Zane's point, we've seen great play out of Pringle the last couple games, but, to what Hobbs was saying, consistently over the span of the season so far, I can see why people are doubting and have, a little bit of nervousness and being like, can he keep this up? Or is this like, just a little bit of a spark that we saw? Like, he played well against South Carolina, but then came back out the next game and didn't do hardly anything. So it's like, can he build off these past 2 games, especially those being road games? It's been impressive that far, but can he come back to a home game, to that home crowd, big environment, the crowd gets it going, and can he continue to do what he's been doing for this team by contributing? I mean, you look at the LSU game, 6 points, 5 boards. I mean, you're not asking him to do much there, and even that little helps. I mean, it helps, also when you have Brazil grabbing 12 boards, and then you also had Billy with 5 and Thomas with 4, Acuff with 2. So, you've got other people.
Threw in 6 as well.
Yeah, Ewan with 6 before he got hurt. So, if you can just have just a little bit of contribution from Pringle, that makes a world of difference. So, you look at stat line, we'll quickly talk about Acuff. As always, great performance for him. 28 points, 13 of 22 from the field, 1 of 4 from deep. Hits his lone free throw of the game. 2 rebounds, 5 assists to 4 turnovers, played 36 minutes in this game. At this point, Acuff owns LSU with his performances, not only at home, but then on taking that on the road. And then Thomas continues to get better and more consistent with him being in that starting lineup, building that chemistry with these guys. And that freshman duo is just insane. 20 points for him, 6 of 13, 1 of 4 from deep, 7 of 9 from the line, 4 rebounds, 1 assist.
3 steals as well.
3 steals. I think, as we all know, there's a meme gif going around about it. Thomas and Acuff doing rock, paper, scissors to who gets to shoot the free throw. Acuff won, but Thomas still shot the free throws because he was closer to the line. He posted about it next day on Instagram, was talking about that, how he didn't win the rock, paper, scissors, but he was closer to the line, so he took the free throws anyway. So, got to that point where Arkansas had that margin. They win by 29 points. You're up big. Why not have some fun with it? And so, great back-to-back performances this team put together, and it's been very impressive with them being shorthanded, running a rotation of 5 to 6 guys, and especially with Seeley stepping up in this game. He played 13 minutes, 4 points, 1 of 2 from the field, 2 of 4 from the line, gave you an assist, did have 3 fouls, 1 turnover in the game. But overall, I think you're seeing – a little bit of growth and contribution that he's able to do. And, like we said, we'll need that down the stretch. And, that'll not only help him for the rest of the season going out, but going into next season. And it's like Transplant Texan says here with a rock, paper, scissors moment, absolute cinema for those guys. I mean, it's been all over social media, those 2 star freshmen, just like, it's crazy. So, going forward, like we said, big game tonight or tomorrow night against Auburn. As you know, they're coming to Bud Walton, and as we know, probably bad taste in their mouths this team has from when they played previously at Auburn and essentially got run out of the building. As we know, that was part of their road struggle. So I have no doubt, even with baseball going on in Arlington this weekend, that the Bud Walton's still going to be packed for this game. You're going to have to kind of split your attention there. If you're at Bud Walton, go, stream the baseball game on your phone if you have Flow Sports. If you're at the baseball game, watch the baseball game at the basketball game at the baseball game. We'll be doing that a little bit both as we're there too. So it's going to be fun. But what do you think about this matchup as, Auburn is coming back to town? Arkansas probably has a bad taste in their mouth, and it's going to be, a big time matchup. I know Auburn has, since Arkansas's played, hasn't had the best of, season going forward in terms of their performance.
I think it's going to go one of two ways. I think, Auburn just lost 2 home games in a row last week to a rival Alabama by 4, and then they lost to Vandy by 8. So it's very tough because I could see them coming in backs to the wall, kind of like the first time we played them. We know they have that ability to make shots and score because they did it against us. So we'll see if that was more of a fluke. But I can also see them, hey, you were at home and lost twice. Now you're on the road to quite possibly the best atmosphere in the SEC. It's going to be tough, but I can see it either being Arkansas by 15 or 20, or I can see Auburn squeaking out a win. I hate to say that, but I could see that just with how we played them once and with their last couple of results. They're coming in rejuvenated and ready to play. So it's going to be a tough game regardless. I think the loss to Kentucky actually helps us in this game because you might not be feeling as invincible because you lost your last home game. So, I know there's times where, kind of that reality check just helps. It's like, hey, we're non-invincible here at home, so we do have to come out and play tough. Kind of like you said, on the road, hey, we're not going to have Ball State or we're not going to have Bud Walton with us, so you have to come out and create your own energy, but also feel like we're going to have to come out and be like, hey, no, we can't take this game lightly just because we're at home. So it'll be interesting.
Right, and it's like Cal said he said these next 7 games Arkansas has, we could easily go 5-2, 6-1 of those, but we could easily lose all 7 because you're going against the top of the competition the rest of the season out. With Auburn this week, and then we've got Florida in this matchup. You've got.
Yeah, we still have to play at Alabama and at Florida, and then we also have to host A&M. So you're talking some pretty tough games coming up. And Missouri got a road win. I forgot where they were. Was it at A&M?
A&M, yes.
It was A&M. Yeah. So we still have to play Missouri twice, here and there.
Not to mention A&M as well.
Yeah, and A&M. So Missouri and A&M twice, and then you have
Florida,
at Bama. And then you also get Texas here as the other game. So it'll be interesting to see, but it's definitely not an easy stretch. But also, hey, I'd much rather have tough games entering the postseason as I would easy games. Just because you want to get that mindset right. You want to be tested. You want to be in the right mentality once you enter the postseason where one loss ends it. So, hey, come in and play the best teams and be at your best entering the postseason, and that helps you go a long way, I feel.
Yeah, and the big thing too is let's hope that coming into Bud Walton and the crowd gets in it early, that you can kind of shut down some of what was a big killer last time was just Keyshawn Hall couldn't miss for Auburn.
Yeah,
and it's hard for guys to have that type of performance against the same team twice in a row. So hopefully that can be the case. Because we had hands in his face, anything, and he was still making everything he shot almost. So, it's one of those things where hopefully he's not as on or locked in as what he was at home. And, for a road team, that is the thing to consider. So, that'll be a big factor too going into this game is, what does Keyshawn Hall's performance look like?
Yeah, I think they are very reliant on him. Almost almost to the extent that we were relying on JD Note a few years back, kind of similar role. So I think if you can come in and limit him from the get-go, I think you have a good chance. But you can't let him get hot because he's shown he's a streaky shooter, and if he's on, we saw that firsthand, he's on. So it's going to be tough. But if you can, off the get-go, focus in on him and limit him, I think you like your chances, especially being at home down the stretch.
Yeah, I agree 100% there. So, again, just for the crowd, be there, bring the energy, and, make it a tough environment like we know Bud Walton is. We've had big wins there, not only this season, but in previous years. I mean, thinking about Auburn specifically a few years ago, under Muss, we knocked them off when they were number one. So, Bud Walton is a special place. The environment can get crazy. One of the bigger, basketball arenas, not only in the SEC, but in the entire country. So I'm excited to see what they do. It's this nice stretch of games coming up the rest of the way through. Arkansas has the chance to, climb up the standings in the SEC. It helps with A&M losing. And then, you got to deal with hopefully Kentucky and Florida maybe drop some games throughout because, you're sitting in a three-way tie.
Well, right now it's a two-way. It's now a two-way tie for second. Us and Kentucky are 8-3. Florida's 9-2. With the A&M loss, they did drop a game below, so they're now 7-4. So you have Florida, then Arkansas, Kentucky, and then you have a five-way tie, one game behind us. So it's very, very crowded up there. So yeah, definitely be on your A game.
Yeah. So going forward, big time. Keep locked in on basketball, even with baseball here. But going to have to do the multitasking, keep the attention both ways. As my wife liked to mention, the last time we did beat Auburn at home, we did get yelled at, or she did, for quote unquote being too loud at a basketball game. Not sure how that's a thing, but yeah. If I remember correctly, I think it was an Auburn fan anyway, so they were probably a little cranky for.
You can't go to another arena and then
tell the home crowd to be quiet.
Exactly. Sorry, your arena's not as good, and your team lost. My bad.
Right. So, as she said, bring that energy Saturday, and let's have a big time matchup.
Just don't bring the energy to her level where she got yelled
But
at.
with that, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we are in Arlington. Baseball is getting underway today at 7:00. While doing this, we've got the first game of the day going right now. Oklahoma beating Texas Tech 10-9 in the top of the ninth. Sorry, 10-3 in the top of the ninth. So, Oklahoma coming out and showing out a little bit in this first game of opening weekend. But, Arkansas will get underway, I guess technically under the lights. It's an indoor stadium, but it's going to be in the late game, the prime time game, if you will, tonight as they get ready to take on Oklahoma State. And as we know, storied, matchups between those two programs, big time games between those two, whether you think back to the last time we played them in Arlington or, the super regionals we've had with them, the regionals. It's just, these two teams don't necessarily like each other, and they it's always a big time exciting matchup when they get to play.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you play Oklahoma State, it always seems like something crazy happens. Like you mentioned, the Super Regional where we have the Jalen battles deep into the night Grand Slam. The Hagen Smith striking out Ruggiero and Ruggiero going around the bases dancing. I mean, it's been theatrical, and then of course the extra inning game here in Arlington against them. And like Dave Van Horn said, it's like we either play like these crazy games or we beat them pretty badly. They beat us pretty badly. There's no other way around it. So I don't know what tonight brings. I just know this from what I'm seeing in this Oklahoma Texas Tech game. I know it's a day game, but the ball's flying. I mean, I'm seeing these hitters. It's coming off the bat. I mean, Oklahoma's hit at least 3 home runs since we've been sitting here, and I don't know if that has to do with Texas Tech having such a bad pitching staff. If that's the case, then we might have some fun Sunday. But I mean, I'm interested to see because this team that we're going to see this year for Arkansas, we've got a lot of power. I mean, this team has got power. If you look at the guys returning back, Helfrich, we all know the kind of power he's got. Cozell hit 15 home runs last year. He's gotten stronger. Kahio Eloy, man, he looks like he just turned into Barry Bonds in the offseason. I mean, he hit a ball 500 feet in the and then this is the place that Kahio just went crazy at last year. So this is where he started his little hot streak at the start of the season last year, where it's like they couldn't get him out. And there's guys that I didn't even mention that just came to the team. Micah Nanu, this guy won MVP in Summer League Baseball. We got some freshmen. They got some pop. You look at Reese Robinette. We know the type of power he's got. TJ Pompey coming in. He hit 15 home runs last year at Texas Tech. I mean, it's just this team is loaded with power. I'm not saying they're going to break the home run record like they did last year, but this lineup's got the potential. Now, of course, we're playing in a Major League Baseball stadium, so anything can happen this weekend. But for me, a successful opening weekend probably looks like 3-1. It'd be great to win all four, but we are playing some talented teams. Oklahoma State's pitcher tonight. He's got some good accolades. He's a good pitcher. Dave Van Horn had a lot of good things to say about him. So, and then you got, of course, the top 10 team in TCU that's absolutely loaded tomorrow night. And then Sunday you got Texas Tech, which it's yet to be seen what they're all about. But so far it doesn't look like they have much pitching depth. And then Monday, of course, we got Tarleton. So, which we better win that one. But yeah, I mean, that's just my thoughts going into this weekend. If we do struggle and maybe go 2-2, just don't think it's the end of the world, because baseball is a type of sport where it may take a minute, and as long as we're getting hot at the right time, that's what really matters, honestly. And to that point, Dave Van Horn also mentioned this. We've had teams go 3-0 here. They didn't make it to Omaha. We've had team go 1-2 here, made it to Omaha. So that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, and getting ready to get this baseball weekend started. Early in the week we got the announcement. We know what the rotation is going to look like for this weekend. At least to start the season. With that, you've got Geckel is going to be your Friday night guy to start this weekend. We know how talented he is towards the end of the season last year, having success coming out of the bullpen. We did see the struggles early in the season with him having some issues getting through, that first inning. If he got through that, he was fine the rest of the way out. But, there was a few games where he really struggled, gave up some runs, gave the opposing team a lead early in the game, in that first inning. And, I'm ready to see the growth that he's had this year. Dave said, it's go time. He knows the expectations. And we've kind of seen this career, type of journey before with like a Hagen Smith type of guy. I know that's an interesting comparison, and not saying he's going to be Hagen Smith, but he has that talent. As we saw Hagen Smith progress through his career at Arkansas, he started out, got the chance to start the following year, had some up games, down games, and then, that next season, as we all know, played lights out. Of course, had the big game here in Arlington where he had all those strikeouts. And so, Geckel, I think I think he talked about, and if you saw a little clip on social media where he talked about really, he feels like he matured over the offseason, and is kind of ready to go and lead this team. And then, of course, on Saturday, Hunter Dietz, he's kind of my question mark in terms of we haven't seen him that much. We know he's a super talented, big arm. Saw him some last year, but struggled to get on the field due to some injury issues, had surgery his freshman year. Dave was surprised we got him to campus, but then we got him to campus, ended up having some injury issues. He got back to getting close to coming back last year and had a bullpen incident that kind of limited what he could do last year. And so coming into this year, he's got a big opportunity in front of him. Haven't really pitched a ton of innings here at Arkansas, but Dave has the confidence in him to, at least for this first weekend, to put him in that starting rotation in the Saturday slot. And then on Sunday, you've got Colin Fisher coming out to round out that starting rotation. And Colin Fisher is a guy that, Arkansas fans know very well. Came in, started hot his freshman year, came into the season last year, pitched well. Injury bug got him, knocked him out the rest of the season where he had to have a brace put in on his throwing arm and on his shoulder. So he's finally getting back healthy this year, has been lights out in the scrimmages Arkansas's had. So, going into this weekend, it's going to be fun to see what Arkansas starting rotation is going to look like. We know this isn't new for Arkansas. The past few seasons, every season having to replace that starting rotation. So, this is another thing that Dave and Matt Hobbs are very, used to, having these guys come in and having to, build a new rotation to start the season.
Yeah, I mean, for Gackle, it's one of the things, and I've always said this, this is amateur sport. This is the level, the step to get to the big leagues. And Gackle, this is his time to show, hey, I'm a first-round draft pick. His freshman year, he's lights out of the bullpen. Last year, like you said, he struggled to start the year, got sent to the bullpen, was really good out of the bullpen again. So this year, back to being the ace like I figured he would be. And I have nothing but confidence in him because I know the potential he has, and we've seen what he can do. So, it's all about, and Matt Hobbs and Dave Van Horn have said this, it's all a mental game. So maybe he's had a different approach to being a starter. So we'll see. I mean, tonight's the night we find out, hey, what it's all about. And we're indoors, so it's a perfect weather for him to have a successful night. So I'm excited to see what kind of night he has and the kind of year he has. Preseason All-American, first team SEC. I mean, this guy is what we need him to be. But and then for Dietz, I'm excited. I'm excited to see a guy that has had nothing but bad omens happen to him, been injured his whole career, and had that freak accident in the bullpen last year. And this staff, and what I love about Dave Van Horn, Matt Hobbs, they've always believed in this guy. They talked highly about him, recruiting him in. They're like, this guy could have been as good as Hagen Smith if he would have stayed healthy. So to see him back healthy and being the second starter opening weekend, that means that there's something there, and that means he's healthy. So I'm excited not only for Dietz, but just to see him as a fan start against a top 10 team right off the bat. Man, that's huge. I mean, so I'm excited to see what he can do. And then for Fisher, man, this guy has been good every time he's been out there. So this is well-deserved to be a starter. He's deserved this. So it kind of like the Gage Wood story where he pitched a few years out of the bullpen, made some spot starts, and now it's his time to get that start. So I just hope we don't – and I thought about Gage Wood, and it immediately triggered what happened to him down here last year where he got hurt and he missed half the season. I hope we don't have any of that stuff happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to be fun to see. And it's like Transplant Texan made the point here. He said several games to get familiar with this new team in the lineup. And, we talked about that pitching staff, but as you go around, the rest of this lineup, not a ton of name changing. You got Helfrich behind the plate still, Reese Robinette at first, Kozel at second. Where you start to see some differences, going to have a new shortstop. It's going to be interesting to see who gets the final decision as we go into this first matchup. I think, if I had to guess, I would say Dave's probably leaning towards giving the freshman the start. Brumbaugh, he's been very high on him since he's come in. And, maybe we see him and both Pompey both play it short at some point this weekend. And then if Pompey's not playing it short, you're probably going to have him playing it third. And then you look at the outfield, right field, you're going to have Kahio Aloy. As we know, Dave's talked about the struggles he had last weekend in the scrimmage, but then, on Monday, Dominic Fletcher, pro hog, one of the top, Dave described him as one of the best center fielders he's had, worked with Kehoe on his fielding. I don't think you got to worry about the batting with him, as we talked about how he's got the juice. It's like this is his first time being really put in the field to play. And so just working on that'll be one of those things that it'll just go as you get live reps. Like scrimmages are great, but once you actually start going against other teams, get those live reps in, it'll be something that'll help. And then as you move over to center field, Micah New, as Hobbs alluded to earlier, MVP of the summer league, great things there. I don't think you have to worry a ton there. And then over in left field is another question mark. Is you either got Damian Ruiz transfer that came in that, not in a bad way, but Dave's just necessarily said has struggled to get it going into the fall and hasn't lived up to kind of what they expected to so far yet. But it's early; it's the start of the season, and then you got a freshman that is also potentially going to get some opportunity there. And then, as your relievers, Parker Coyle, Cole Gibbler, another one that they know they can count on. Parker Coyle experience that we saw last year, would have played down the stretch in Omaha if it wasn't some injury issues, shoulder soreness that Dave said that, kind of took him out of that. And so, I think this is a good, well-rounded team, but as Transplant Texan mentioned, you've got, some new names to learn, especially more in the outfield, but it's going to be fun to see what these guys have in store and what the everyday guys shake out in this rotation, like we said, because you know what you got for the most part around your key positions there. So watching shortstop is going to be fun to see how that battle turns out. We know Brumbaugh is going to get the opportunity to compete for that starting job, and not to mention we'll probably see Souza in the starting lineup tonight, but it'll be in a DH role as he's still recovering from that shoulder injury that he suffered, I believe, at Georgia last year, sliding into third, having a shoulder issue and with his collarbone. And so Dave just said the arm strength's not all the way back yet to where they want it to be, but he can definitely swing the bat, and he said he'll definitely play. And if he does, it'll be at that DH spot until he gets healthy, and then maybe depending on how Brumbaugh's playing, you see him inserted at the shortstop position at some point in the season, maybe midweek games, just to get him back out there and get him some reps in live action.
Yeah, I mean that's Souza is probably going to lead off. That's what Dave Van Horn kind of hinted to. He got a lot of at bats, just trying to play catch up because he missed time with the injury. But yeah, I mean Souza's a guy that he's too good of a defender to not be in the field. So when he's healthy, he'll be out there somewhere. I don't know if it'll be second, it'll be third, short. It may be a situation where a lot of people haven't thought about this, but Cozell was playing a little outfield in summer league ball. So you may see Cozell in right field if Kehoe struggles. I know Fletcher was working with him. That's awesome to see a former Hog come back. Not only a former Hog, but probably the best center fielder that Arkansas has ever had defensive-wise, helping Kehoe out. So we'll see. He got some growing to do out there. But yeah, I mean, as far as the bullpen goes, this is just this bullpen's loaded. I don't say that lightly. I really do believe we've got righties, we've got lefties that throw strikes. They throw hard, and you mentioned the Cole coming back. You got Gibbler in the bullpen. You've got Still Eves is back. I mean, that's just to mention Cooper Dossett's back. I mean, this is a guy that missed all last year because he was hurt. And then you got the transfers coming in too that are going to help this team too. So this team has got some arms. And then, of course, you got a guy that I think is probably going to start on Monday. Peyton Lee, the freshman, has looked good as well. And then we didn't even mention a guy that pitched well in summer league ball, Tate McGuire. Where does he fit into all these guys? So, like I said, this team is loaded in the bullpen. So we may see some shaking up depending on how people do starting. But it's just a matter of let's figure out who fits in where. But we got 4 games this weekend. So, excuse me, we're probably going to see everybody pitch.
Yeah, it's going to be all hands on deck, especially that fourth game you have on Monday with Tarleton. That's not necessarily part of the Shriners Classic that they're playing in, but another game. Dave said that they asked and then they to play down there. And Dave mentioned with playing in Arlington, he said, "Hey, we're going to take any opportunity we get to play." He said, "We love playing down here. They love having us here." And I think part of that's due to they know Arkansas fans are going to travel, so they know they're going to have full stadiums. To the capacity of it is a major league stadium, but you're going to have it packed with as many Hogs fans that or make that quick 5.5 hour drive down. But yeah, those guys Hobbs mentioned in the bullpen, those transfers, Ethan McAvane from Vandy. When you come from a program like that, these kids are good. Cooper Dossett returning is going to be big. And then, another guy that, come over from, we've had luck with Oregon State pitchers, James DeCramer. And so, it's going to be where do these guys shake out in the lineup? And it's like Dave mentioned, Hobbs said, it's probably Peyton Lee on Monday, the freshman righty getting the start. And Dave in his presser earlier this week said, we know who we're going to start. We're not announcing it yet. So, going to be it's a lot of trust that Dave's given to a freshman, a good opportunity against, it's not a big time major Power 4 program, but, Tarleton State, a better way to open up your career here, in a major league ballpark against a mid-major, some competition. So it'll be good. But, Zane, what's your thoughts going into this season? I know you put together some great information on baseball, but going into this season, what's your initial thoughts as we're ready to open up play this weekend?
Honestly, I'm just excited to see the team come out and play. Definitely, like Hobbs mentioned, a lot of depth on the pitching. Maybe some names that fans aren't as familiar with, but kind of like Transplanting Texans said, this is kind of these games with that opportunity to get to know them. But yeah, it looks like, got some power on the team. It looks like it's going to be another solid team. And, it's just what we've come to expect. And obviously I think we take advantage of that. But, I'm highly expecting, top 10 for most, if not all, the season, just because there is so much talent and depth on this team. So it is interesting just because, hey, Kozil's a great second baseman, but he's been also practicing outfield, in summer. Okay, that's something that, I never would have even thought about until, that came up. It's oh, so that's just, multifaceted, able to kind of just help the team be better as a whole. So it's just going to be interesting to see. And I'll have a lot more opinions probably after tonight's game. But, just excited to get to see them play.
Yeah, so going into tonight, I know I asked you guys this question earlier, and we'll put you on the spot here. So who's your guy that's going to hit the first home run of the season for Arkansas?
I've got two in mind that I think are possible to do it just because I've seen these guys hit absolute nukes. Ryder Helfrich's one, and the newcomer Summer League MVP Mike Anu. I think he's a guy that's probably could potentially hit it out of the park too. But it may be another guy. You never know. But that's the two that I think may be the first one.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and take what I thought was the obvious answer and go Kahio Aloy. I mean, just saying. I mean, what was it? 479, 112 off the bat back home. So that's my pick. Also, he, like you mentioned, he kind of blew up here last year. So I thought that was where you were going with it, but oh well.
How about all three of them go deep tonight?
Hey, I like that.
We'll take that.
In that case, who's first in the batting order?
Right.
That's who I'll pick.
Right. Those are great options. And it's tough because it's like we mentioned that when we started talking about baseball, they've got a lot of power around the diamond this year. I like it. If I had to put some odds, I also like, giving Kozil the odds too, because, as you mentioned, 15 home runs last year. He's not shy of taking it deep. And then I also, one of my top picks is, we seen it late in the season when he kind of started taking off. Hey, big country, Reese Robinette can send it deep in the night as well. We saw him against Texas double up there with home runs with a no doubter, that second one. So, any one of these guys could be the guy to do it. So it'll be fun to see who gets that claim this year to having the first home run of the season, and not only of the season, but in a pro ballpark. So, it's going to be a fun weekend of baseball. I'm excited. get to see this team in action. I know Hogs has been waiting for this since Omaha ended last year.
Yeah.
And so, it's like I've seen gifts and stuff going around. We've got some unfinished business. And coming into this season, maybe not as star-studded as big-time names, but, Dave knows how to go out there quietly and put together some good rosters with maybe some guys that other big-time programs aren't looking at necessarily. How many times have we seen Dave have success with that, with going and getting these guys that, maybe haven't been big-time names? I mean, one to think of right away is, before he committed, I mean, who really heard of Viva Lloyd, Sacramento State, the guy
that too. And just recently last year, Florida Gulf Coast, Charles Davalon.
Yeah.
He turns into pretty much a first round pick coming from Florida Gulf Coast. So Dave knows how to recruit. And it's not just Dave either. Let's give Dave all the credit, but our hitting coach is the one that finds these guys too. So Nate Thompson, a lot of people don't like to hear that name, but he's part of the reason these guys come here too.
Yeah. And so, I mean, coming into this season, you've got some names of, guys that not big time schools. I mean, like Mike New coming from, small school, and then Marshall and then being Summer League MVP. And then, Cahillo, we know what he did last year, has the opportunity to step up this year. And so it's going to be fun. I mean, we got 9 innings of baseball to get started this evening, and then, 3 more days with games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Now, you say 9 innings. We've been to 12 innings with this team before.
That is true. At least 9 regulation innings. We'll see what happens after that. Hopefully it's one of those where we take care of business and get the win. As we were talking here, the first game of the Shriners Children's Classic finished up with Oklahoma getting the win 10-3 over Texas Tech. We got TCU and Vandy coming up here at the top of the hour at 3 o'clock, and then obviously Arkansas's game starting at 7 o'clock, or pending whenever this game is over. With these two programs, could see this game going either way, finishing up at 9 or it being an extended game. Just historically at how well these programs have been. And, Vandy being that program, and then TCU as of late has come on strong. It ranked a top 10 opponent coming into the season. So, any finishing up thoughts, as we get ready to, we're here in Arlington, we're going to go grab some food and head to the stadium. Any final thoughts before we get ready to head out and watch opening season of baseball?
Well, I know what Zane's going to say, but yeah, like I said, I just hope it's a good weekend, injury-free weekend. Let everybody get some at-bats, let everybody get in the game, get some pitches. That's the biggest thing, so just get ready to watch a really good team play. I don't want anybody to think that the team, if they don't score a lot of runs this weekend, that this is this is the actual offense. Because I remember a prime example last year, we scored 1 run against Oklahoma State or TCU. We had that back of the 2-1 game against TCU, and everybody's like, "Oh man, here same offense again." And then what happened? School records broken. Offense was phenomenal last year, and everybody seems to forget, because we lost the game against LSU, the offense gave us the lead in the 9th inning, and then we know what happened after that. So, I just think that the offense they figured out the struggles they had the 2 years before last year. They figured out the type of players and athletes that they need to bring in. And I just think their offense is not only going to be just as good, may take a step even more. It's hard to say based off of what last year's team had, but I just don't see a weakness on this lineup. I really don't. So, I'm just looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good weekend. Like you said, everybody get everybody in, get those live reps. And yeah, I mean, just if it's not crazy offense this weekend, that's not indicative of the season, because as we know with baseball, usually pitching is the one that will come out stronger than your offense, and then as the season goes, that's going to develop. So It's going to be a fun weekend down here in Arlington. I know for me, it's my first time being down here in Arlington at the Ranger Stadium watching Arkansas play in this tournament. Usually, last year they played the second weekend down here. This year their opening weekend is down here instead of in Fayetteville, as they'll head back home and play Xavier to open the season at Baum next weekend. As Transplant Texan said, appreciate the stream. Thank you for tuning in, Transplant Texan. He said, go Hogs on the diamond and on the court. Per usual, Zane's got his final thoughts for the stream.
Woo pig always. You know it.
So we're going to get ready to wrap up here and head out to the stadium and go grab a bite to eat. But, if you guys see us around, feel free to say hi. We're going to be here all weekend. Let us know the best spots to go to grab food and whatnot. But as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Hit that like and subscribe button. That way you don't miss any time we go live. So it's going to be a fun-filled, baseball-filled weekend with some basketball mixed in on Saturday for, fun Valentine's Day. That would be a great Valentine's Day present for me, as going 2-0 on Saturday with a win in baseball and basketball. So with that, we're going to get ready to wrap up here and go watch some Arkansas baseball. So from us, we TBD on the Sunday show. We'll let you guys know. We may pivot to later in the week with how the games and things are shaking out. But with that, from Hobbs, Zane, myself, we're going to get out of here and get ready to go watch some Arkansas baseball. So everybody have a great weekend and enjoy the games and sports as well. And we'll see you next time and keep you up to date.